Ah, perfect. The wrong line. Not a happy hour talk. Wine simple. We're super excited. I have an incredible woman today on, and I'm waiting for her to go live. It should be real fun. Let's see, where is Dorli? I have tons of questions for her. Okay, not a happy hour talk. My glass at the moment is still empty, but it's going to be filled very soon. Ah, there she is.
Here
Hello,
she
Dorli.
is.
There she is.
Hello. I try to find the best place how to put the phone.
Those are the new problems we face these days.
I think it works like that. Yeah.
We good?
I think it works. Yeah.
Excellent. Cool. Well, first, I'm super excited that you agreed to come on this show. You obviously, you were recently on the show I saw when you tuned in, and I announced you as a real power lady.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And last year I visited Tyrol when I went back home, and you did a tasting for a bunch of sommeliers, and everyone said, "Oh, Dorli is phenomenal, right? And the vision she has, and the tasting she has," and they kept going on and on and on and on and on, and no, but it's impressive. I mean, look, sommeliers taste wines with people all the time, but if something resonates with them, that's impressive. That's good to hear. So honor who deserves honor. But quickly, a little bit about you. You run Wine and Partners.
Yes.
Can you explain us something about it for a long time?
It is it's an old company. You know, I founded Wine and Partners in 1991. Imagine. It's a long time ago, huh? It was really a long time ago. And you know who was my first really important client? It was Alois Kracher.
Wow.
I worked with him for 15 years. And then I told him, Alois, just stop sending money over every month because you are so famous. I can't do anything for you anymore. Just stop it. Let's stay friends. So, but that was 91. So I started to work with Austrian companies in Austria, Austrian wineries in Austria, and then
you're a PR agency, just to make it clear.
Yeah, PR agency in marketing in wine, and now it's also restaurants, hotels, touristic destinations, but it always has to do with good taste, you know. And so yeah, we started in Austria with Austrian producers, and now we work on a worldwide basis with producers from everywhere, hotels, restaurants from everywhere, and we work into all the markets. So it used to be a lot of traveling. At the moment it's not, but it used to be a lot of traveling all the time. Yes.
Well, whenever I was in email contact with you, you responded at pretty much any given hour.
Yeah.
How many hours do you sleep?
It's too little to count them.
Yeah. But to Wine and Partners, you employ only women. I found that impressive.
Yeah, you know, after 25 years of pure female company, we engaged the first man. It was a gift to us, you know, like a birthday gift. 25 years, let's start. And it's okay. It's okay.
What does that mean?
It's a little bit different, but it's okay. No, you know what, I was not afraid of working with men, but I was afraid that maybe the relationship between the women would change, you know, because we have a fantastic company ambience. So it's really a fantastic team, and we are all together and so on. I was afraid that, you know, once a man comes into that crowd, that maybe that would change, but it did not. It's okay. It's good. So he is. So everybody has different jobs in our company, and his second job is that he is our fitness manager. So he organizes plankings every day. He used to organize. Now we are in the home office. We have to restart from zero.
Yeah, we all do. It's a challenge, you know. You eat more, you drink more.
Yeah.
If you're not on top of it, this comes very quickly down on your scale.
Exactly. That's true. That's true.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I found a valve on that. But I've had the same thing at Ribeira, because there was a time when I had 7 women in my team from 7 sommeliers.
Yes.
And
then only you on top.
no, that's actually a very important point, and this is in every hiring process, in every interview. They all say, "I want to work for you," and I said, "No one works for me. I work with you, and you work with me," and that's very important to understand, because I've learned this the very hard way. And in New York, it's a perfect comparison. You know, in New York, we have Con Edison, which runs all the power lines. And you always see 1 or 2 people working and 5 on the side watching. Right? And the 5 on the sides are miserable as hell. And that's typically always, you know, when you run a program or when you run a company, you're the one who is busy, 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 and the other ones are looking at you. And I've learned that. So that's why I involve them completely and give them also responsibilities. And all of a sudden, the connection to the company changed radically, and they became happier as a result. No, I mean, it's interesting because look, they brought a meaning to it, and the dynamic shifted completely.
Yeah.
But to me, and often, you know, they manage me, because I'm often, you know, I have to be in this place and that place and on this table and then across the other room. I mean, how can you do that? So again, I'm nobody without my team. There's actually one just tuned in. But it's very important. Listen, I mean, you know that you cannot be everywhere.
Yeah.
And you're only as good as your weakest link in the team is.
Yeah.
So you better make sure.
You know, as an entrepreneur, I think that's the biggest challenge. I mean, you get clients all the time. You get, you know, projects, get everything done. But I think the most challenging thing is to motivate and to keep running your stuff the way that everybody is happy and satisfied and has and enjoys working, because not because of money and not because of obligation or whatever, but that you really feel something, that you get something back, like a narcissistic thing as well. So and to get the spirit into everybody, and that it's all a team, and you don't get. I think this is the biggest challenge of running a company.
That shifted also over the last couple of years. I think 20 years ago, people went to work for money mainly. Now they look also for happiness.
Yes.
If you don't give that, they move on.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's a little bit antiquated that, you know, they work for you in that old sense.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just you couldn't sustain. You work by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I say. What I can offer is a platform where you can be active and you can use it and you can self-satisfy yourself. I mean, that's what the company should be, not more. Yeah.
So no, but it's I find this always fascinating, you know, when you have a company with such a long history, you know, because you see things, it's funny, you know, people often complain about routine, but routine can make things easier. It's just, let's not forget that.
Yes and no, because I mean, doing PR for nearly 30 years, I can tell you that it has changed 10 times. Things have changed so much, because when I started, you know, my first investment was a fax machine.
Yeah.
That was my investment. I started the company with a PC, you know, that I have bought to write my thesis on university, and then I invested in a fax machine, and that was a big thing then, because it was completely new. And then, you know, emails. The next thing was a mobile phone. The first one, it was a big, heavy
Chunky thing.
you know. And then, but in the first years of my job, I went to the post office every day and brought the letters there. That was the, you know, communication was like that. We sent invitations, we sent press releases by, with letters. We printed pictures, photos, and put it into an envelope and sent it to somebody. It was incredible. So, you know, imagine that, where I come from, and what we have been, how we have been changing in communication, and in how fast everything became. And so there is routine, yes. I mean, I can still talk about wine, and I understand how people work, you know, and things. But the ways of communication, oh my God, I had to reinvent myself so many times during those.
No, but routine and, you know, staying on top and evolving all the time, that doesn't exclude each other.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you're a winemaker as well, obviously.
yeah,
Quite some fame. You designated your work to Blaufränkisch.
yes.
Yeah. What strikes you in that variety?
I mean, it's the best.
But a Burgundy producer would say Pinot Noir and Chardonnay is the best.
Yeah, but it's not so far away from Pinot Noir. I would say it's the same family. They have the same mother, and Blaufränkisch is better adapted to our climate. So it is really the varietal that we should have here and that we should plant here. And I would never do Pinot Noir because I have far too much respect for Burgundy. No, but Blaufränkisch is a very, how to say, has a very challenging taste. It's not easy. It's not easy going. It's you know, I'm also a fan of classical music, and I really love the tough things, you know. Challenging. I want to go to the opera, and I don't want to see Verdi. So really challenging thing. And I think Blaufränkisch, in comparison to other grapes that we have in Austria, is about that. It is the more intellectual varietal.
Now, Blaufränkisch often here in the United States is known from the Burgenland,
Yeah.
right? Mainly from the Middle Burgenland, or go down to the Südburgenland, to the southern part. You have Carnuntum.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit that region from your perspective?
Oh, yes, of course. Carnuntum is just at the end of the Carpathian Mountains, or on the other side, the end of the Alps. It's just between the two ranges. And it's a very, 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 very windy region, and very, very dry. So for you as a bicycle runner, it's challenging. It's flat, but with a lot of wind all the time. So and it's
More so than down in Ilmitz? It's about the same, no?
The wind might be the same, but here it is much drier because we don't have any influence of the lake.
No, but the intensity of the wind.
Yes, probably the same. Yes, the intensity is probably the same. And what we've got here is very continental climate. So I don't talk about cool climate because we've got 40 degrees Celsius in summer, so that's not cool climate. But it's continental, so with cold winters, very hot summers, very dry summers, no rain during summer, no rain, and probably not in spring either. Now, so it's it's a perfect place for red wines and for late ripening red wines, which Blaufränkisch is. And as I said, it's very dry. And on the Spitzberg, where I grow Blaufränkisch, we have limestone soil. So it is at this sandy limestone. So the little rainfall that we have just goes through, you know, and doesn't stay in the soil. And then there is a lot of wind, a sun exposure, a lot of heat. So it's really dramatic conditions, which interestingly make that that the wine is fresh, you know, because we don't have enough water so that the wine could produce a lot of sugar or alcohol. So they are fresh and lean and clean and precise. So they are, I would say, the whole character of our Blaufränkisch is, you can compare it to white wine because it's not heavy, it's not power playing, it's just elegance, like a prima ballerina that is doing who is doing her pirouettes, you know, everything lifts you. And this is what really strikes me here. It's that it's more the sense of place than anything else. And Blaufränkisch is just the perfect grape to translate the Spitzberg. I'm an interpreter from education, you know. I studied French and Spanish to become an interpreter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. But when I taste your wines, there's like you said, all the mentions you before, I wouldn't necessarily describe them as lean. It's just they're very nuanced. They're very finessed. I know when I'm in Austria, often people describe, you know, this is a Blaufränkisch which tastes more like Rhone, and this is a Blaufränkisch which tastes more like Burgundy. I'm always, you know, I think Blaufränkisch found international recognition.
Yes.
That yes, of course, someone who's never tasted that grape, you have to give him kind of an anchor point.
Yes.
But you don't really can compare it because I don't think we make Cornas style of wines or Côte Rôtie like Blaufränkisch, no Burgundies, but it's kind of, it shoots in that direction.
Yeah, I mean that's true. It's maybe it's as a grape, it is probably between Pinot, Syrah, and Nebbiolo. So
Yeah.
if you make a mix of those three, you probably get a little bit the character of Blaufränkisch. But then Blaufränkisch has this talent to express so well the terroir, the place where it has been grown. So this is why you have so different styles. And then of course everybody thinks that their own style is the best. And but actually I just talked this afternoon to a producer from Hungary. His name is Zoltán Hyman. Have you heard?
Yeah.
He's a young guy. He has now made his own wines. And I tasted his 2018 Cake Francoche. It's from Sexart. And this wine is so good. I told him, I get a little bit worried because this is really, really good. It's so elegant and so, yeah. So, of course,
Cake Francoche is Blaufränkisch in Hungarian language.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's cake. Cake is blue Frankish.
Yeah.
Cake Frankish. It's really good. So we have to not to forget that it's a Central European grape. It's not an Austrian grape. It's Central European. And you have some fantastic Blaufränkisch also from Czech Republic. So from the north, you know, it's quite much cooler. From Slovakia, fantastic producers as well. So, and you know, I'm here in Prellenkirchen, which is in the in Carnuntum, which is the most, I mean, one of the most eastern places in Austria. And I've got maybe 20 kilometers to the Hungarian border, 8 kilometers to the Slovakian border. You know, it's
So
I'm
I just convert quickly. 8 kilometers is 5 miles. 20
yeah,
kilometers is roughly 13
50
miles.
or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
13, 14 miles. So it's super close. Hence why the comparisons to all these countries. And the
Yeah,
Austro-Hungary Empire is still kind of, you see remainers in that
yeah, yeah.
culturally.
Yes, yeah. So I mean, I'm much faster in those countries than I'm in Vienna.
Yeah, because mainly of traffic.
Yeah, yeah,
I've
but
been
also,
there.
I mean, we have so many things in common, and we just speak different languages, but the whole culture and also the grapes, it's the same. So there is a lot of things to discover in the east of in the east of Europe.
Mhm.
It's very challenging, yes.
You actually, what struck me a little bit, you produce also a little bit of Grüne Veltliner.
Yes.
And the reason why I point this out was obviously in the United States, but I think also around the globe. Grüne Veltliner is obviously known from the Wachau Valley or from Kammtal, Kremstal, Donauland, maybe touch of Weinviertel and a little bit of Vienna, but then that's even that those are almost exotic from a foreign perspective, right? Why Grüne Veltliner for you? And I've tasted it, I've loved actually your wine.
That's good.
Yeah. No, but it's just often, we anchor that in America, this when the people taste this Grüne Veltliner, they say this doesn't taste typical.
Yeah, yeah.
But what does that mean? This trap typical because, of course, if you try Pinot Noir from Jean-Paul Musigny, and if this is your consideration of typical, or if you go then further down to Pommard, yes, that's your range. But
Mm.
then you should never try a Spätburgunder from Germany because that's atypical,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
No,
In
well,
Austria, there's a lot Grüne Veltliner grown all over.
mm. Grüne Veltliner is a very interesting grape, and um, of course, the the cooler the place, the cooler the nights, the more humidity you find in the soil, the fresher and crispier the wine gets. And if you go to a region like ours, which is much warmer and has little rain and little humidity in the soil, it's really a challenge um, to make a crisp wine here. And it's not the idea, because I don't write Grüne Veltliner on the label. I write Prellenkirchen, which is the name of the village. So it's a village wine. And because it expresses the sense of place rather than a grape. And I must say, I'm not interested in grapes. I mean, grapes only have one function. It's to translate the place where they have been growing. But it's not, why, if you want to make just, Cabernet in a sandy place and you give water, whatever, so what's the reason of it? I mean, there is no, it's, what the interesting thing about wine is not grapes, but different places, isn't it? So if you taste blind, if you do a blind tasting, you say, oh, is this a Rioja or is it a Chianti? And we don't talk about varietals, we talk about places. And then ideally, wise people have used the right varietals and planted them there to express the place. But it's not the other way around.
It's a very French approach, no? Because in our, Germany, Austria, we always put varieties onto the label, and we anchor that, such as.
I don't.
No, no, I
If
know
you
you, but I said
yeah,
that's
yeah, if you see my labels, I don't put the varietal, at least not in the top wines, because I think the, there is no it there is no reason. I mean, you compare varietals to varietals. That's not interesting. I mean, you should talk about the place, and that's what's interesting, and that what makes wine so yeah, so fantastic, really fantastic, because you can really feel and smell and see different places in the world. Otherwise, you just, just take one place and compare varietals. No, that's not interesting. It's really the places that makes the wine fascinating.
Yeah. You said you had to go to the vineyard today earlier.
Yeah, I wanted to go, but I couldn't. But I love doing it. I mean, this is one of the good things of this strange crisis, that I'm now based here in Prellenkirchen for 9 weeks, and I don't go back to Vienna, and I have everything under one roof. So I like, in the very early morning, it's the vineyard workers that come and we take a coffee together, and then the winemaker comes and the tractor driver comes, and then I have the online meeting with my staff from the agency, and if I find the time, I can go out in the vineyards and do the work as well. But it's very good because I've got everything together here, and I don't know how I have been doing it before, with traveling 3 or 4 days a week.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a new experience for many people, that you'll realize you don't have to necessarily, spend hours in a plane or hours in a car.
Yeah, that's true. That's what we can experience today.
Yes, this is probably a new normal.
Yeah.
On the other hand, call me old-fashioned or old school, there's nothing about the human interaction and sitting in front of someone and feeling kind of the personality a little bit, and maybe share a
Yeah.
glass of wine.
Yeah, Aldo, but I have been doing so many online tastings in the last weeks.
Mm.
And I had like 20 people all over the country, tasting like for 2 hours with me, 3, 4, 5 wines, and they enjoyed it so much. And of course, I didn't smell them, which is maybe good, I don't know, but but we had a really good time, and everybody said, please don't stop that after the crisis, because it's really good. And then everybody's at home. We don't have to drive our cars anymore. You just go to bed. And the best thing of everything is that I don't have to wash their glasses.
It's another big thing.
We close the screen, we go to bed, and that's it. And it's fantastic. Everybody does the same. They really like it, and I really like it. And they say also that they are much more concentrated and focused during the tasting if they are just, watching the screen and not everybody around and so on. So I think it's a good thing, and this will last. This will stay.
It cuts out the noise of
Yes.
but of the surroundings where you get distracted from.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I see that. Very strong. I mean, I'm tired of Zoom meetings, but it's very effective.
It is, yeah. It changed the style of working in the beginning. So when I left the office on March 13, and we went to the home office, and I said, we probably won't need this office anymore. And everybody was shocked. They said, what are you saying? And I said, we will get used to it. And then everybody get in the home office, and the first 2 weeks were tough because you have to adapt yourself. I said, so no, we need to get a structure. So we do one meeting every day at 11:30, for 1 hour. So now we are very, very good. Everybody is informed much better than before, because even if you sit next to each other, you work online, and normally your neighbor doesn't know what you're doing, and the other way around. But now we have this very concentrated, focused meeting every day. So everybody is quite well informed, and we work good, we work hard, we work tough and very efficiently. And last week I had to go to Vienna for 2 meetings, and I was so stressed. I said, no, I want to go back in my home office. It's much more effective. So I'm a little bit afraid of how it will be when we go back into normal. Probably we won't. Everybody will stay in the
Do
home
you
office.
do you see also the consumer on the back end changing as a result? Not even the professionals, but also the consumer.
In what? In
In,
consuming or
in
what?
terms of not consuming, maybe not, but targeting more kind of these online tastings
Yeah.
and dialing in because it's obviously a very easy way to connect with producers. And I've
Yes.
seen producers all over around the globe, you know,
Yeah.
whether they joined in on Instagram live sessions or Zoom live sessions.
Yeah.
Some
We
of them.
did. We organized a fantastic tasting last week with Aurelio Montes
Mhm.
for sommeliers in Austria, Germany, and Switzerland. And you know, we had top sommeliers from all the houses, and they said, we can keep on doing this even when we go back to work, because for 1 hour, you can always find 1 hour, you know, in your working days. But if in your free day, if you drive for 1 hour and then come back, it's no, you don't sacrifice your free day. So I think this is, we had never in a real tasting, we had never so many top people than this time on the online tasting. And you know, it's so much cheaper, it's so much more sustainable. You just, okay, you have to send more wines because you have to send so many bottles to so many people, but it's no costs in comparison to traveling for 3 days and then people don't show up because you know, other things to do. And so it's very effective and very efficient, and I like it.
We see us in America more clubs, kind of club styles are developing as a result. And I know this is not a successful thing in Europe so far, but I think that's shaping up too, no?
Yeah, 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 definitely.
Yeah.
So I see a question here, what about the drought in Austria?
Yeah, I just was, I didn't want to interrupt you.
Yeah, and this is what I just said, that we had, I don't know how to convert this to your numbers, but since the end of February, like it's March, April, May, we had so far 10 millimeters of rainfall.
10 millimeters, that's a third
Like,
of an inch.
let's say it's nothing.
11 millimeters, let's call it centimeter. Yeah, that's yeah, a third of an inch.
Yeah. So, but to compare, so usually in Styria, you would have in a year, over a year, you would have about 1,000 millimeters of rainfall. And in most of the regions of Austria, you would have about 600. In here in on the Spitzerberg, we usually have 400. But this
Wow.
year,
Millimeters.
yes, in a year. But so far, in those 3 months, we only had 10 millimeters. So it's, everything is dry. It looks like in the south of
400
Portugal.
millimeters is about a foot and a half to 2 foot, just to give
Yeah,
you as a reference. Yeah.
over the year, over the year. But this is crazy. But the interesting thing is, and I don't know how this works, the vines grow very, very lucky. They are very happy, apparently. They grow and grow, and we really have a lot of work now in the vineyards, and they don't seem to have troubles. Yeah, it's all the other plants, and of course, corn and wheat and everything, but the vines are still behaving very nicely.
Mhm.
Yep.
The rest you have to shape in the, but you don't irrigate, no?
No, don't let us talk about irrigation.
Good. I know this. I know this stuff. Um, you obviously a very well-traveled person around the globe. You know many people.
Mhm,
You've tasted a lot of wine.
mhm.
Which area, which grape do you think is kind of underrated? Because I had this talk earlier with Willie, and I write about in Wine Simple also about it. We always kind of are stuck. And again, we meaning really myself included. But even a general consumer who has a little, is not as well versed with wine, we drink always about the same grape varieties.
Yeah.
Whether it's, in Austria, it's Grüne Veltliner, it's Riesling, we drink, a Chardonnay, and it's just always the same. But we have so many thousand varieties out there.
Yeah.
What do you think is underrated? Or which area do you think is really interesting? Aside of Austria, of course.
Well, you want to know what I have opened for tonight to taste with you? Because it's one of my really, really favorite wines. And I haven't tasted it for such a long time. And I said, you're a good partner for this bottle. It's called La Lama. You know what it is? La Lama is a wine from a winery called Dominio de Bibai
Yeah.
in Galicia,
Yeah.
in Spain, and it's the majority is Mencia, and this is a grape that I love so much, so much. And it was via La Lama, via this wine, that I have discovered Mencia, and I think I love it so much because there is something similar to Blau Frankish as well.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, it's a very versatile grape depending where it's from.
Yeah.
It can be very Cabernet Franc-like-ish depending where you get it. It can be very Syrah-like-ish also. If you go to Ribeira Sacra, for instance. To me, that's one of the things which I pushed since a couple of years very, very hard. And it's not crazy expensive.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is I have taken the 2008 La Lama, and I opened also a 2008 Spitzerberg.
Oh wow!
To compare it, and I love I have a weak side for shitty years, and 2008 was complicated. And I love it so much. And then I opened another bottle because I just had another 2008 here, which is the Grüne Veltliner Tradition of Gobelsburg.
Oh, I love that wine.
Yeah. So it is
also wait.
2008.
Oh wow.
Can I show it? Look.
No, I believe you.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
2008 Gobelsburg, 2008.
You have to hold it a little bit lower.
Oh, excuse me. Like
that?
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah.
That's the La Lama.
Yeah.
The Spitzerberg.
Yeah.
And the Gobelsburg. And this vintage, the 2008, is so interesting because in the first years we didn't like it very much because we thought it's too much acidic and so on. But now we see
challenging.
Exactly, but so it's such a long distance runner, and all the three wines are fantastic. And I just go back and forth because I can't decide which one I like best. Maybe it's not necessary to decide, but because everybody has each of the three wines has a very nice story to me. And so those maybe the most underrated things are not the grapes, but the vintages. And then another thing that I really hate drinking young wine.
Yeah. Because to me, I like both. But it's also a result you need to taste also young in order to get a picture. And to me, one thing I enjoy to see the evolvement.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
it's like having a child. You don't want to have, I know you have a very lovely daughter.
Yeah.
But you don't want to get to from 0 to an 18-year-old right away. I want to see how they evolve. Of course, problems, they come in their adolescence, and so the wines too. There's certain days they're really moody.
Yeah.
They're not going to give you anything, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but one thing is tasting them, and another thing is like ordering them in a restaurant. So I would not I don't see why I should drink a 2019 or 2018 wine with food. I don't see why should I? I mean, it's destroying everything. I think if it is so young, you should call it juice, like fruit juice or grape juice, because wine, to me, includes maturity. It includes time. Then it becomes only wine after some years in the bottle. Before, it's not wine. And this is maybe this is something that people don't understand and don't know. As we have to work a lot on that. And we have to store the wines much longer, because who else should do it?
We live in a very fast-paced time. And especially in New York, you know, you don't have on top of it a lot of space.
Yeah,
Everything
exactly.
is so cramped, you know, together.
Yeah,
That changes also dynamics a little bit.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
I mean, sometimes I talked to Jean-Louis Schaaf about that, and he releases part of it, and part of it he keeps back to
Yeah, exactly.
to
Yeah,
build
for
up a collection, and he
yeah,
releases this later on as a
exactly.
vertical. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the only thing we have to do that, we as producers, because otherwise you cannot sell the wine and say, oh, I'm so sorry, if you don't like it, it's because it's too young, so then we shouldn't sell it.
Uh, yeah, well, that's often, you know, one of my biggest mentors is Adi Werner,
Yeah,
who said you cannot send the sommelier only to buy wine because he will only buy the most expensive. But he said you cannot only send the owner also because he will only buy the cheapest. It's important they
yeah,
both go.
exactly.
I thought it's
Yeah,
a very fair point. Um,
this is why they do their technical travels every year, both together.
yeah.
They want to go to Portugal this year. You know, I have organized the trip for them, but now they have canceled
Uh,
because they can't travel. But yeah,
I was last year and I loved it. I
yeah,
mean,
it's a fantastic.
absolutely loved it.
Yeah,
And there's quite some developments there coming up.
yeah.
Yeah. And the food. Talking about food, which leads me to the next part. When you walk into a restaurant, what are you looking? What is important for you? Obviously, food and wine, but I think restaurants and it's so much more.
No, the most important thing, if I go to a restaurant, if I walk into a restaurant, is something that maybe you don't usually you don't recognize consciously, but the most important thing is the smell.
Hmm.
That's the first thing that, and the second thing is the music.
A
Because this,
never-ending topic.
no, because those two things, the smell and the sound, is something that you don't consciously um, digest. You know, you don't think about it. It goes directly by side your brain to your feelings.
Hmm.
And you don't know maybe why I don't feel comfortable also, but it's because it smells of, I don't know, old fat or burn something or whatever, yeah. Or if because there is perfume in the air, which is the most terrible thing that you can do, but this happens in some places, that they
It's very
put,
hard to control.
no, it's not even the perfume of the guests, but that the restaurants or places do
Hmm.
it. They yes.
Yeah.
And then of course the music, no need to talk about it. I mean, if it just can destroy everything, yeah,
Hmm.
destroy everything. Um, and after that, I don't know, maybe light, and whether it's clean or not or whatever. It's there is so many details that makes you feel good or not long time before you have seen a wine list or the menu.
Hmm. How do you handle an opening of an older wine with a cork that is troublesome? That's a good question.
Yeah, maybe that's something that you should quote your book.
We have it in there actually.
I know that's why I say I usually.
We have it in there. Uh, it is what it. Listen, old corks sometimes they're a little worn off. That's what it is. Just because it crumbles, the wine is not necessarily bad.
Yeah.
That's not the indicator. Um,
But
speaking of the,
there is some tricks how you can get it out if
yeah, maybe if I find it, I can open it up. But I ask you quickly a couple more quick questions because with you we could talk. The time is flying with you, literally.
oh
What tips could you give to someone who is unexperienced about wine? How to get into wine?
ah I would say the most important thing is to compare. So it doesn't really help you if you drink one wine, uh, every Saturday. I would prefer you open 3 bottles on Saturday and keep it for the whole week, and you retaste the 3 wines and find out how they develop. I think this is the best way to understand what means development, what is a long-lasting wine, what is a wine that you should drink earlier, and what is the development of aromas and so on, and also to understand how to position which wine. Comparing is the most important thing, I would say.
Yeah,
Learning, comparing.
yeah. It's Willy Klinger earlier mentioned the same thing. It's funny. By the way, I open it on page 200 and 198. This is obviously how to do it. And the second one is help when
Yeah,
things become troublesome.
yeah.
Um,
Your book is fantastic, really. It is really fantastic.
oh wow.
I told you, you remember? Remember?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you you got it from a very special person.
Yeah, that was
Um,
fantastic. I was in London in the beginning of February, and I visited Chances Robinson in her home. And when I was about to leave, she said, "Do you know Aldo's book?" And I said, "Huh? What Aldo's book? I mean, he's a sommelier." No, no, he made a book. Really? Yeah. And but then she didn't find it, and she no, oh, okay, I will check it out. And next day she came to an Austrian wine tasting, and she brought me her copy and gave it to me, you know.
wow. I mean,
And for a reason, because it I opened the book, it's here, that's the one I got from Chances. I opened it and I said, oh my God, no, why nobody has done it before? Because it's just perfect. It is bringing down all the blah 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 to very simple, very clear, bringing it down to earth. Fantastic,
yeah.
really.
I'm blushing now,
Oh,
huh?
yeah,
No, no. I mean, listen. I grew up with Jancis's book. I'm obviously a big
yeah,
fan of hers, and then we got to know each other better. And when she comes to town, I have a coffee or a tea with her. It's just amazing. And when you phone her, it's obviously very very meaningful.
yeah,
Yeah, that's why I'm blushing.
yeah. No, she.
Um, when someone comes to Vienna, what would you tell him not to miss? Because I see Vienna is often, I send people to Vienna and I rave about it, but of course I'm biased. But everybody comes back and I said, this was amazing. But I send them to local places.
Yes.
What would you suggest that they should not miss? And this is my last question because Instagram is going to turn us off regardless.
You know what? I would say one of the most important things is to rent a bicycle and to go around the Ringstrasse, because then you have all the buildings and you get a real good feeling for the old Vienna. And then of course from time to time you stop and you take a coffee or you take a glass of wine and then you have food. I like several places that are restaurants that are not really in the center, that are like more in the outskirts. And this is very unusual maybe for a wine person, but I really like to go to Schweizer House.
Oh, love it.
I really like to have a real good beer with some pork, you know. And of course, there's a lot of fantastic wine places and coffee bars and everything. But sitting in the Schweizer house and having that, I think this is real Eastern European style, and very good.
I took a bunch of American sommeliers there during Irrigation, and I went to there first to have a beer after the tasting. And they were upset that we had to go for dinner after because they loved it there so much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
Thank you so much. This was a true treat to have you. Yeah.
It was great. Thank
And
you,
I hope
Aldo.
to see you soon when we get out of this situation here.
Yes, make it happen soon, please.
Yeah.
That
Well,
would be great.
stay
All
healthy.
the in that crazy city, and yes, and for the whole world.
Yeah. Well, knock on wood, right? Yeah. Thank you so
Okay.
much. Yeah. Bye.
Bye bye. Ciao ciao. Ciao ciao.